Greetings everyone, I am the Technomage, back again with She-Hulk episode 3 review. So let's get on with it. We start with previously on Q2 Kansas Carry On Wayward Son. Nah, just kidding. And I'm not going to show the scenes of the previous episode because we already saw that episode, so let's get on with it. And we are back on the super prison where Jennifer is really angry with Blonsky because he didn't tell her that he escaped prison to appear on this cage fight against Wong as seen on the Shang-Chi movie. And she tells him, don't you realize that this ruins all of your recovery and redemption argument and you will never get your parole? And Blonsky excuses himself saying, I was taken out of prison against my will. And she asked him, how? I mean, who took you out? And he answers, a guy, I suppose, some kind of sorcerer named Wong. And Wong has a social media account. Yeah, this was supposed to be some kind of joke because they say employment history sorcerer supreme present librarian of Kamartaj for 11 years, but target sales associate of Kamartaj. Yeah, look, they have made this kind of joke many times where they try to lower the profile of the characters. Characters that are supposed to be really serious and really important, then they show something like this to say, look, they are not so serious, they're actually funny. Target sales associate for Kamartaj, the place where all the sorcerers train. Yeah, not funny, it doesn't work. So anyway, Jennifer tells Nikki, her paralegal, to find Wong, and then she breaks the fourth wall again and, woman! Eyes up front! Hands up on the wheel! Whatever. She breaks the fourth wall once again and tells the audience, yes, I know you want to see Wong, but you have to wait a little bit more and don't get used to. This is not going to become some kind of a weekly guest star. Yes, in episode 1 we had Bruce, and last episode we had Blonsky, and this episode we had Wong, and she realizes that this is a weekly guest star. So moving on, we're starting with the episode, but now where the titles are interrupted by something more important, the news, where it's already known that She-Hulk is representing the former supervillain Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination, and we see him here in his Abomination form, and it doesn't look nothing at all like the one we saw, how he saw Abomination on the Incredible Hulk movie, but I like this one because with these ears it's more comic accurate, and superpower influencer Titania speaks out about, seriously, is Titania going to become some kind of side quest that is going to run parallel to the main story? It seems so. But even that is cut short because we have more important things to talk about, namely gossip about She-Hulk. Even a Spanish-speaking podcast is talking about her. But what's the joke here? The trolls on the internet, the toxic men, because they show some kind of influencer, YouTuber, whatever, in a podcast talking about, hey, why now we have a female Hulk? Why everything has to be female now? And this supposed joke or whatever is a clear jab against the fans who had complained with a lot of reason. They have a lot of reason to complain about how nowadays every male superhero is being replaced by a female counterpart or by a racial change or whatever. And here we have all the trolls complaining about female superheroes, why everything is one female now, whatever. It's not funny, Marvel. Nice try. So Jennifer is back at her office and she uses Microsoft.
Fuck Microsoft!
Not my first choice for a computer OS, but anyway, just a little. So she is again complaining that everyone just want her because she's She-Hulk and that she wants to return to her to work just as a normal lawyer. And hey, Toxic Man, long time no see. So Toxic Man is the superpower, the superhuman law division, because he was scammed by a superpowered individual. And at first he's not happy that Jennifer is there. He doesn't want to work with her because they had history when they worked together at the DA office. And then another lawyer appears, a female lawyer, and of course Toxic Man, being Toxic Man, makes a sexist remark about her, and the other lawyer leaves. And he asks that this guy becomes his representative on his case, and he explains that he needs the superhuman law division because the person who scammed him was a female, a she-elf shapeshifter from New Asgard. And they ask him, how did she scam you? And he answers, because when I was dating her, she was disguised as Megan Thee Stallion, the artist. And Jennifer laughs at him because how could you ever think that you were going to get a date with Megan Thee Stallion? But that is cut short because Wong is here. Played again by Benedict Wong. Let's hear it for him. And Wong explains why he sprung Abomination out of the joint, and it was because he needed a worthy opponent for that fight as per for his training to become Sorcerer Supreme. And Jennifer tells him that what he did is a crime and that it could ruin Blonsky's opportunity to get released on parole. And then they begin this rather really not funny banter about Wong using his magic to solve all the problems. And then they make there's an Easter egg about Spider-Man No Way Home, because he says, oh, you want me to erase their memories? And she said, no. Oh, well, because that's better, because actually erasing memories is really, really dangerous. So she asked him to go to Blonsky's parole hearing so he can explain everything that happened. And back with Toxic Man, he's telling his now representative how much money he lost, and we actually see a video on Screen about the shape-shifting She-Elf posing as Megan Thee Stallion having a fight on some bar or some club, and Toxic Man leaves, but then he comes back and he says, hey, no, I want to drop the charges, I don't want to pursue this is not important. And then he starts drinking this Red Bull and acting strange, and the lawyer makes a call, and he actually calls the Toxic Man, and Toxic Man tells him, hey, how are you doing? And then he realizes that it is not Toxic Man, it is the shape-shifting elf. Then the lawyer comes out of the office, and he tells the two secretaries, hey, here I am, I'm a Toxic Man, and my favorite pastime is to sexually harass my female co-workers. But it's not him, it's the shape-shifting elf, who tells him that, hey, this is a warning, you better drop the case. And then we go back to the super prison where there are a lot of news reporters assembled because today is Blonsky's parole hearing. And everyone is worried and that this dangerous super criminal is going to be released. And Jennifer tries to sneak in, but of course she can't. Everyone sees her and they start asking these stupid questions that she was rejected from the Avengers, and when Jennifer manages to get past them and enter the prison, this very same reporter looks at the camera and says, we just saw She-Hulk coming in, who is rumored to have been rejected by the Avengers. Again, not funny. So we are at the hearing. Blonsky's cage is lowered to the room, and we get an actual look at her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Wait. There's supposed to be 7. I think I missed one. Her new girlfriends from the prison pen pal program, and he starts to explain to the parole hearing that I'm reformed, I've done a lot of soul searching and self-improvement, but of course the parole is not very convinced. They are really worried that what if you become the Abomination again while you are out there. And Jennifer trying to explain that they have nothing to worry about, and they are also worried about the fact that he escaped. And Jennifer is trying to explain, no, we have a witness who can clear Blonsky of that accusation, but Wong doesn't appear. And she's getting really nervous and asks for questions, and of course everyone has questions about this. But then they bring 4 witnesses who are supposed to speak in favor of Blonsky. Wong is not the only one. We have a prison counselor, a librarian, and a prison guard. So then we have the prison counselor who, and all these witnesses sing the praises of Blonsky. The counselor said that Blonsky created help groups and he helped other inmates with their issues. The librarian says that he turned the library into an actual quiet place of reading and not some place where you just murder people. And there is a prison guard who is in tears because Blonsky helped him with a very bad, really brutal divorce, and his name is Coward? Is that a like a phonetic game with the word coward? Whatever. Well, Blonsky tells him, let it out, it's part of the process. And there's 3 of the 4 witnesses is already appeared and spoke on his favor, but Wong still doesn't appear, and Jennifer was getting really nervous because of that. But Wong appeared, and he says that he will explain everything, and they ask him, well, where can you begin explaining? And he answers, do you ever heard about a place called Kamartaj? And here's a funny thing. When I first heard this part of the episode, I swear that I heard him say, have you ever heard of the Kumite?
The Kumite?
But now he said Kamartaj.
The Kumite.
So now we are back with Toxic Man. He's at the hearing of his sue, and the shapeshifting elves, the attorney says that they cannot judge her because she's the daughter of a diplomat on New Asgard and that she has diplomatic immunity. But the I can speak English. Seriously, I can. The judge says that that doesn't run here because her diplomatic immunity only works on New Asgard, not here on California. And she says that the suit of Scam has no grounds because Toxic Man knew that she wasn't Megan Thee Stallion and that they were just role playing, and all the money that he spent on her was out of his free will. And he says, no, it's not true, you lied to me. And the lawyer says that my client is really hurt and everything, and then the judge leaves, and then the judge comes back and says, taking into account some new evidence, I decided to not proceed with this case, but it wasn't the judge, it was the shapeshifting elf, and her own attorney tells her, well, this is a crime, this is really serious, and she is chased out of the court. And then Wong will go back to the parole hearing where Wong finishes his story, and he tells the board that he actually offered Blonsky sanctuary on Kamartaj and help, but Blonsky said, no, I want to go back to the prison and complete my sentence. And Wong says this man could have escaped at any time, but he decided to return to prison and continue paying for his crime against society, and this man is really reformed. And Jennifer says, as you can see, Blonsky is reformed. He could have escaped multiple times. He was offered freedom and he rejected it to continue his path of redemption. But the board says we're worried that Blonsky will. What if he transforms back into Abomination out there on the streets with other people? And Blonsky says, that's no problem, I will show you. And he starts to undress, and Jennifer is like, no, what are you doing? And Blonsky transforms into Abomination, and everyone starts to panic, except now they are 7, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes. One didn't appear, and well, the 7 girlfriends are actually impressed of seeing this huge masculine man. I mean, very muscled man. And Blonsky says, as you can see, I'm in total control and I can transform back at will. And Jennifer gives her last words, and she actually managed to impress the board, and the board says that they will think about it. But then they tell Wong that what you did was a crime, and Wong is out. Now, back outside of the prison, everybody is harassing Jennifer because, hey, how do you feel to have released a monster? When he kills again, that will be on you. And they told her that you have to deal with the protesters that are outside. And then she's back at the attorney's bar, club, something, and she's complaining that some protester destroyed her car or something. And Nikki tries to lighten the mood with this joke, this apps that combine two faces to create a baby is not funny again. And the other lawyer comes back and he asks Nikki and Jennifer, how could you work with this man for so long? And Jennifer again gives a quick fourth wall break, saying, oh, this is how you tie both stories into one. And says, how could you work with this man so much and for so long without killing him? And Nikki says, oh, I think I killed him in my head infinite times. And Jennifer says, yes, he's the most deluded man in the world. He's pathologically deluded. And then the lawyer has an idea and says, "Are you willing to say that under oath?" And Jennifer is called as a witness. And the lawyer asks him, "Hey, you work for many years with this man on the DA office, and so I suppose you know him quite well. How could you describe him?" And Jennifer says, "He's a extremely deluded man. He's a privileged white man, entitled and toxic man, and whatever." And the judges favors makes his decision, and he favors toxic man and says that the they the shape-shifting elf has to repay the money that she scammed out of toxic man, and that she has to go to prison for like 60 days because impersonating a judge is a crime. And the real Megan Thee Stallion, let's hear it for her, makes an appearance on this episode. So they are outside the courtroom, and Toxic Man, of course, being Toxic Man, says, "Hey, that was the real Megan Thee Stallion. Should I go back and try to talk to her?" And they say, "No, please don't do that." And he says, "Hey, what if I go? I mean, just to be sure that she's the real Megan Thee Stallion, why don't we give her some kind of inhibitor or something that prevents her from transforming?" And that gives Jennifer an idea. So back at the prison, the press, of course, is assembled and everything, and the parole board reveals that they have decided to grant Blonsky his freedom under parole with the condition that he wears a inhibitor like the one that Bruce was wearing on the first episode. And Blonsky says, I'm in your debt. Spiritually, by the way. And Blonsky is released. And then Blonsky tells her, "Hey, you have to own all this transformation and everything, because the story is going to be told, and it's better if you are the one who tells the story." So they are on this news anchor interviewing Jennifer on her She-Hulk form, and he asks her, "How do you feel? How do you feel as She-Hulk that have represented an abomination?" And she says, "No, my name is Jennifer Walters, and his name is Emil Blonsky." Tries to correct him because, of course, he's a man. Of course, he's going to not use your proper names. And they reference the origin of the name She-Hulk, and then he says, that doesn't matter. When we come back from this break, She-Hulk is going to talk about her diet and exercise routine, because of course that's really what you will talk about in the evening news. So we're back at Jennifer's flat. She's walking through this dark alley. I don't know why. I mean, she's right in front of her apartment. So anyway, she's walking through this dark alley, and somebody tried to sneak up on her, and she's like, "Oh no, somebody caught me!" But then she's, "Wait a minute," and she hulks out, and three other guys appear, and I don't know if you can see this, but there are four guys. One of them has some yellow lights, one has blue lights, one has purple lights, and there's one with red lights. There is something toxic man, there is something toxic man, there is something toxic man, they hate women, patriarchy. So anyway, yes, sorry about that really bad joke. And Jennifer and they are flaunting all these high-tech weapons like they are ninja or something, and Jennifer says, "You stole all of this from a New Asgardian worker, didn't you?" And they start a fight, which ends up easily. None of this Asgardian technology works on her. One of them tries to jab her with something, and then she grabs his head and smashes his head, one of the guy's heads against another guy's head. With her strength, I'm sure that ends up with two exploded heads. Then she throws another one in the air, and he falls. And I'm sure again that ends up with some severe spinal trauma. But anyway, they run away. One of the guys says, "No, I couldn't take it. I want to take her blood, I guess, or something, because once she transformed, her green skin is impenetrable." And here's the thing: the leader of the group, who casually was the one who was using the tools with the blue light. Just see what I'm. You get my meaning? The leader of this four guys, with each one with the distinctive lights. The leader of the group is the blue one. Wink, wink. And he says, "Us is not going to be happy. Us is not going to be happy." As in Osborn? Seriously? They're going to introduce Norman Osborn on the She-Hulk series? So anyway, Jennifer picks up her stuff and she looks herself at the mirror. And she has some kind of revelation or something, because, well, that's where the episode ends and we have the credits. And luckily I make these reviews just with images and not with scenes of the series, because unlike other episodes where the series has its own exit closing theme song, now they play a song by Megan Thee Stallion. So, well, what is my opinion on this episode? Well, I have some kind of mixed feelings about it, because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. So, well, episode 1, we had a ton of misogyny. Every man was toxic and bad and useless and dumb, and Jennifer was so much smarter than everybody else. On episode 2, we didn't have much of this, because episode 2 focused less on Jennifer and more on world building and context setting, because we saw Jennifer getting this new job at the law firm and everything, and the introduction of more characters. But we didn't have that in this episode. Well, for example, yes, we had Toxic Man coming back, being Toxic Man and stupid. And we had the newscaster who was also Toxic Man, and the 4 men who attacked Jennifer on the dark alley, who attacked her because before they attacked her, they told her, "Hey, you shouldn't be flaunting your superpowers to everybody." Like saying, check your privilege. But on the other hand, the lawyer who represented Toxic Man, he wasn't an idiot. He was actually smart and a competent attorney. They actually allowed him to be good at his job and not needing a woman's help to solve all his problems. I mean, yes, he asked Jennifer to be a witness on the case, but he asked Jennifer to be a witness of the case. It was his idea. It's not that Jennifer appeared out of nowhere to save him in the nick of time. And also, Blonsky was presented as a competent man. He was kind of cringy on episode 2, but this episode it was shown that he was really reformed and that he helped a lot of people. So, yeah, I think the worst part of this episode was Jennifer herself. She wasn't funny, she was boring, and she's supposed to be the protagonist of this series. We are supposed to be rooting for her, and I'm not. I don't care about Jennifer. Everybody else on this episode was interesting except her. And that is the She-Hulk episode, She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law episode of this week. But hey, no, we have the post-credits scenes, and yes, you have to watch it. I had to watch it, so you have to suffer with me. So Jennifer goes back to her office, and she says, "Hey, there's my favorite client, and who is? It's Megan Thee Stallion. Wow, Marvel is really squeezing all of the juice that they can out of Megan Thee Stallion for this episode, because I've heard that the ratings of She-Hulk are pathetic." And they start dancing. Audience, be grateful that I'm using just images and not screenshots and not actual segments of the episode, because you will have to watch them dance. I mean, the boss Holloway goes to talk to Jennifer, and when he sees this, he says, "I'm out of here." So I'm going to end this video with this. Yes, I had to watch it. You will suffer with me. This is the Technomage signing off. Thank you for watching, and sweet nightmares.